I tried using a task app, but it was so much more work than it was worth. Or I used to use a task app and it worked great. And then I got way too busy and I stopped using it. Or I don't have time to use a task app. I need to do the things, not update the things. Have you ever said any of these things to yourself? If so, I get it. You would not be the first. This is something that so many of my coaching clients say to me when we start working together. It's something that folks say to me when I'm leading workshops for companies. Using a task app, it just feels like more work. Why would I add more work to my plate when I already have so much work to do? And if you fall into the camp of, I can't live without my task app, then maybe this video isn't for you. Or maybe it is because you want to just be reminded of why you're using it and why it's so helpful to save you time. But if you find yourself in the camp of, why should I do this? What is the value of this? It just feels like one more thing to update. Ugh, I don't have time. Then would you allow me to maybe shift your mindset just a little bit about why using a task app can be so incredibly helpful and a tweak that I'm going to share with you about how to make it be a lot less work to keep it updated and keep it up to date? All right. So, why do we want to use a task app in the first place, right? Well, typically it's because our brains, they are not so great at keeping track of all the stuff. Some of us have great memories, some of us, me, do not have great memories. You, I don't know. You tell me. But even if you have a fantastic memory, as your life gets more complex, as you have more responsibilities, as you move from, being a student, just keeping track of yourself to, being an independent contributor to maybe you've become a manager. Now you have a family, perhaps. Maybe you're managing things in your household or with your roommates. Like you just have a lot of stuff going on. It becomes harder and harder to keep track of it in your brain without that giant ball of anxiety in the back of your head saying, well, I know I'm missing something, just don't know what it is or when it's going to come back to bite me. And that doesn't feel so good. Right. Now, our minds, as David Allen says, our minds are great for having ideas, not for holding them. And what happens when we try to hold in our heads all of the things that we need to do, the things that we might want to do, the pieces of the things that we need to do, etc., is it's really, really hard to prioritize. It's really stressful, and we end up dropping the ball way more than we would like. But we can externalize that with a task app. But therein lies the problem, right? You're like, great, I can get all that stuff out there, but now I'm going to have to spend all of this time just maintaining my system. And look, there is no task app out there on the planet that I have found that has no maintenance, that requires no maintenance. Even those fancy AI task apps out there that say they're going to, do everything for you and kind of reschedule things if you miss something, et cetera. It still requires input from your human brain, right? It still requires input. It still requires a little bit of maintenance from you. But there is a way to make the maintenance so much faster, so much easier that it's 100% worth it. Even, I mean, if it could be more than that worth it, it would be more than that worth it, right? That you can make it that. And the trick, the key I find in almost every case is not to think of your task system as something that you update later. If you think of your system as kind of a repository for the things that you need to do, something where you need to update it later, where updating your task list becomes an item on your task list, you're not going to do it, right? You're not going to do it because that is actually work that doesn't feel like you have time to do. But, but if you make this little mental switch and instead of thinking of your tasks app as something that you have to update later, thinking of it as something that is just a living, breathing machine that is helping you get through your day, keeping it open all the time and updating as you go, the updating takes no time at all, like 10 seconds, right? But a lot of really good things happen. So, one, if you update as you go, and I want you to think, update a task, move on to the next task, right? So, do a task, update the task, move on to the next task. A few good things will happen. One, your to-do list will be getting shorter, right? Maybe you're not your overall task list, but your to-do list will be getting shorter as you knock things off, you move things, next actions to the future, etc. You will also find that when you get to the end of the day, all the stuff that you already did has already been updated. So the only thing you really need to do is move anything that you didn't get done today that you had intended to get done today to the future, right? To a time when it does make sense for you to do. And in this way, you can spend just a tiny, teeny tiny fractional amount of the time that you would have otherwise spent updating things, just keeping it updated in the moment. And you're also getting that nice sense of accomplishment as you go along. It also saves a ton of time to update in the moment. Like if you're going to update at all, right? If you're going to do it at all, it saves a ton of time to do it in the moment versus later. Because even if you're just waiting until the end of the day, now you have to think about that thing twice, whatever it was, right? Did I actually send that email or is it still in my drafts? I don't know. Let me go check. Versus if you're just updating as you go along, it becomes part of the workflow and things stay updated, right? If you don't update where you are and what you've done, what happens even if you are using a task system is that maybe you're working on a project that you haven't worked on in a couple of weeks and you spend the first 20 minutes just trying to figure out where the heck you left off, right? Where were you last time? Maybe you've even duplicated work sometimes and that feels really crappy. But if you keep your task system just updated in the moment, it is this engine that drives you forward, right? It also becomes a really helpful decision helper, right? So throughout the day, you're going to get incoming items that are coming your way, and you're going to be able to look at your task system and say, okay, where does this thing fit? This new incoming item, does it need to change something about my plan for the day? Or do I need to push back on it? Because these are the things that I need to do today. And this thing doesn't, it's not more important than the other things, right? So it helps you to stay on task, to stay on target throughout the day. And if you update as you go, you never, ever, ever have update my task list as an item on your task list. And therefore, you don't have to wrestle with yourself about whether or not you're actually going to do it. And I have found that this makes all the difference. If you wait to update later, your task system is really just a repository of things that you did or didn't do, and it sometimes can feel like just a graveyard of abandoned task apps where you see the stuff that you didn't do 5 years ago. If you update in the moment as you go, then everything becomes easier and you feel great sense of accomplishment without spending a lot of time updating your system.
Thank you for watching this one. Do more stress lessers. Just make sure to subscribe because videos come out weekly and it would help us out a lot. We're trying to get to 2K subscribers. So let's get it done.